One day you wake up, look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Who even is this person?" That moment is the beginning. You either push yourself away or start rebuilding. Which one will you choose? The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius whispered these words to himself nearly 2,000 years ago. Yet, they hit different when you're staring at yourself in the mirror at 3:00 a.m. wondering who you've become. You know that feeling, right? When you catch a glimpse of yourself and think, when did I stop taking care of me? When did self-care become this massive, overwhelming mountain that requires spa days, expensive retreats, and hours you don't have? You feel a strange sense of detachment, like you're looking at a version of yourself that slowly drifted away while life kept happening. Responsibilities piled up, expectations mounted, and somewhere along the way, you began living on autopilot. We don't talk enough about that slow erosion of self, the kind that sneaks up on you until one day you just don't feel like you anymore. That's not failure, that's forgetting. And forgetting can be reversed. The truth is, we've been thinking about self-care all wrong. Real transformation doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in the tiny moments between moments. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that becoming unrecognizable to your former self isn't about dramatic life overhauls. It's about the micro habits that compound like interest in your emotional bank account. Pause right here. I want you to close your eyes for 5 seconds and imagine what your life might look like if you showed up for yourself in those tiny moments. What would change? What would heal? Think about water carving through stone. Not through force, but through gentle, persistent contact. That's what these 5 micro habits will do for you. They'll reshape you so subtly, so powerfully that 6 months from now, people will ask, "What's different about you?" And you'll smile knowing it wasn't one big thing. It was 5 tiny things you did every single day. The beauty of Stoic self-care lies in its simplicity. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca weren't lounging in Roman spas. They were busy people leading empires, teaching students, dealing with exile and hardship. Yet they developed practices so small, so integrated into daily life, that they became unstoppable forces of inner strength. Let's be real. When was the last time you did something for yourself without guilt? We're trained to feel selfish if we pause. But what if that pause is the thing that allows you to give more? Not from depletion, but from overflow. Here's what most people get wrong. They think self-care means adding more to their already packed lives. But true Stoic self-care is about subtraction, removing the mental clutter, the emotional baggage, the habits that drain rather than sustain you. It's about creating space for yourself within the life you already have. These aren't your typical drink more water and get 8 hours of sleep suggestions. Sure, those matter, but they're surface level. What I'm about to share with you goes deeper. These small habits target the root of why you feel disconnected from yourself, why self-care feels impossible, and why transformation seems so out of reach. Each habit takes less than 5 minutes. Each one costs nothing. Each one can be done anywhere, anytime, without anyone even knowing you're doing it. But together they create a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Just pause for a second and let that sink in. 5 minutes, no cost, no permission needed, but the power to change everything. Who told you transformation had to be hard? When Epictetus said, "No one can harm you without your permission," he wasn't just talking about external enemies. He was talking about the way we harm ourselves through neglect, through putting everyone else's needs first, through forgetting that we matter too. These micro habits are your permission slip to matter again. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need realigning. Like a guitar that's gone slightly out of tune, still beautiful, still capable of music, just needing those small adjustments that make all the difference. The person you're becoming is already inside you waiting. These habits aren't creating someone new. They're revealing who you've always been underneath the stress, the overwhelm, the constant giving without receiving. They're archaeological tools, gently brushing away the dust to reveal the masterpiece beneath. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to start small, ridiculously small, so small that your brain can't resist. So small that even on your worst days, you can still show up for yourself. And day by day, choice by choice, you're going to become unrecognizable to the person who feels too tired, too busy, too overwhelmed to take care of themselves. Before we dive in, hit that like button, share this VT. Number 1, the 2-minute morning mind sweep. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote these words in his personal journal, never intending for anyone else to read them. Yet here we are 2,000 years later, finding exactly what we need to hear. Your mind wakes up cluttered. It's not your fault. While you slept, your subconscious was busy processing yesterday's stress, tomorrow's worries, and that weird dream about your high school math teacher. You open your eyes and immediately the mental chaos begins. What's for breakfast? Did I send that email? Why did I say that thing last week? What if the meeting goes badly today? It's like waking up mid-conversation, except the conversation is happening inside your own head and every voice is yours. No wonder we start the day exhausted. Most people assume the only solution is distraction, scrolling social media, diving straight into work, or blasting music. But distraction isn't clarity, it's just noise on top of noise. This is where most people reach for their phones, hoping social media will somehow organize their thoughts. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Instead, you're adding more mental clutter to an already overwhelmed system. It's like trying to clean a messy room by dumping more stuff on the floor. The first micro-habit that will make you unrecognizable is what I call the 2-minute morning mind sweep. Before you check your phone, before you brush your teeth, before you do anything else, you're going to sit on the edge of your bed and do one simple thing. Acknowledge what's in your mind without judgment. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Close your eyes or keep them soft-focused on the floor. Now imagine your thoughts are clouds drifting across the sky of your consciousness. You're not trying to stop them, control them, or change them. You're simply noticing them. Oh, there's anxiety about the presentation. There's excitement about dinner tonight. There's that song stuck on repeat. There's worry about my sister. These thoughts may feel like chaos at first, but over time you'll notice they follow patterns. It's like tuning into the frequency of your own soul. With practice, you begin to hear the whispers underneath the noise, the ones that tell you what really matters today. The Stoics called this practice prohairesis, a continuous attention to the present moment and to what's within our control. Epictetus taught his students that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. This morning practice helps you see the difference between what's actually happening, thoughts arising in your mind, and what you're making it mean. These thoughts define my reality. What makes this different from meditation? You're not trying to achieve some perfect state of peace. You're not fighting for emptiness or bliss. You're simply taking inventory like a store manager checking what's on the shelves before opening for business. This makes it accessible for everyone, even if you've never meditated in your life. Most self-care practices fail because they require you to be someone you're not. This one works because it meets you exactly where you are. Anxious? Perfect. Tired? That's fine too. Angry? Welcome that too. The magic isn't in feeling different, it's in developing a different relationship with whatever you're feeling. Within a week, something shifts. You start noticing patterns. Oh, I always wake up worried about money on Mondays. I only feel that chest tightness when I haven't talked to my mom in a while. That underlying sadness shows up whenever I'm between projects. These aren't problems to solve in those 2 minutes. They're simply information to acknowledge. By week 2, you'll notice something remarkable happening throughout your day. When stress hits, there's a tiny pause where you remember, oh, this is just another thought cloud drifting through. You start responding instead of reacting. You begin choosing your emotional states instead of being hijacked by them. The ripple effects are profound. Your relationships improve because you're not carrying the chaos of your morning mind into every conversation. Your productivity increases because you're starting from clarity instead of confusion. Your self-compassion grows because you're practicing radical acceptance of your inner experience. The beautiful thing about this habit is its portability. Stuck in traffic? 2-minute mind sweep. Waiting for your coffee to brew? Mind sweep. Before a difficult conversation? Mind sweep. You're developing what Seneca called the discipline of desire, the ability to want what you have and accept what is while still working toward what could be. Let this sink in. When you stop resisting what's in your mind, it stops resisting you. The mind doesn't need to be silenced, it just needs to be seen. This isn't positive thinking or toxic optimism. You're not trying to convince yourself that ever. Number 2, the gratitude archaeology dig. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Seneca understood that transformation isn't about adding more good things to your life. It's about discovering the good that's already there, buried under layers of habit and assumption. There is a certain kind of beauty in uncovering what was always present but never truly seen. Most of us spend our lives chasing extraordinary moments while overlooking the miracle of the ordinary. The sun hitting your face in the morning, the scent of your favorite soap, the sound of your pet snoring gently at your feet. These aren't background noise, they're evidence. Evidence that life is offering you goodness every single day. You've just forgotten how to notice it. Here's the problem with most gratitude practices. They're surface level and generic. I'm grateful for my family, my health, my job. Sure, these things matter, but after a few days, your brain starts to tune out. It's like saying fine when someone asks how you are. Technically true, but missing all the rich detail that makes life meaningful. The second micro-habit that will make you unrecognizable is what I call gratitude archaeology. Instead of skimming the surface of obvious blessings, you're going to dig deeper, looking for the hidden treasures that most people miss entirely. Here's how it works. Once during your day, whenever you remember, you're going to become a detective of your own experience. You're looking for one specific thing that went right. But here's the twist. It can't be something big or obvious. You're hunting for the micro moments, the tiny victories, the small kindnesses that usually slip by unnoticed. Maybe it's the way the barista made your coffee exactly right without you having to specify anything. Maybe it's how your body automatically knew to step back when that car came a little too close. Maybe it's the fact that you remembered to water your plants, or that your phone battery lasted all day, or that you found a parking spot on the first try. Every day gives you a secret gift, one small grace, a flicker of ease, a moment where the world gently said, "I've got you." But we miss them. We're too busy surviving to notice we're occasionally thriving. This practice changes that. It trains your perception to look for what's right instead of only what's wrong. The Stoics practiced what they called the discipline of perception, training themselves to see reality as it truly is, not filtered through their fears and expectations. Most of us are trained to notice what's wrong, what's missing, what needs fixing. This archaeological dig retrains your brain to notice what's working, what's present, what's already perfect exactly as it is. But here's where it gets deeper. Once you identify your tiny treasure, you don't just say, "I'm grateful for this." You investigate it. Why did this moment catch your attention? What made it special? Who else was involved in making this good thing possible? This is where the real magic happens. Take that perfect coffee, for example. Someone grew those beans, probably on the other side of the world. Someone else roasted them, transported them, sold them to the cafe. The barista learned how to operate that complex machine. The person before you in line ordered quickly, keeping the line moving. Your taste buds worked perfectly to detect all those flavors. Your nervous system created the experience of satisfaction and warmth. Suddenly, that simple cup of coffee becomes a web of interconnection, a small miracle of human cooperation and natural abundance. You're not just grateful for coffee. You're amazed by the thousands of people and processes that conspired to give you this one perfect moment. When you allow yourself to be amazed by small things, you tap into a hidden reservoir of energy and joy. It's not naivety, it's presence, it's wisdom disguised as wonder. This practice rewires your brain at a neurological level. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to form new neural pathways throughout your life. When you consistently look for micro moments of goodness, you're literally strengthening the neural networks associated with appreciation, wonder, and contentment. After 2 weeks of this practice, something remarkable happens. You start noticing good things in real time, not just during your archaeological dig. Your brain becomes a magnet for moments of beauty, connection, and grace that were always there, but invisible to your untrained perception. The ripple effects transform your relationships too. When you're trained to notice the small kindnesses people offer, you naturally start offering more kindness yourself. When you see how many invisible hands contribute to your daily experience, you become more generous, more patient, more aware of your impact on others. This isn't about denying problems or pretending life is perfect. Stoic gratitude is tougher than that. It's about developing such a... Number 3, the energy audit moment. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Marcus Aurelius captured something we all feel, but rarely admit. We are constantly leaking our life force to people, activities, and thoughts that drain rather than sustain us. And often, we don't even notice the leak until we're completely empty. We go through the day wondering why we're so tired, so on edge, so short-fused, without realizing we've been handing out pieces of our energy like free samples. There's a hidden tax we pay for ignoring our own internal cues, and the cost is burnout. Think about your phone battery. When it starts dying fast, you don't just accept it and carry a charger everywhere. You check which apps are running in the background, draining power without providing value. You close them, you optimize. You protect your device's energy so it can serve you when you need it most. But when was the last time you did an energy audit on your life? The third micro habit that will make you unrecognizable is the energy audit moment. Once a day, you're going to pause and ask yourself one simple question. Right now, am I gaining energy or losing it? Then you're going to act on that information like your life depends on it, because it does. Here's how it works. Set a random alarm on your phone or attach this practice to something you do daily, like washing your hands or opening the fridge. When the moment comes, stop whatever you're doing and tune into your body. Not your thoughts about how you should feel, but how you actually feel in this moment. This isn't about analysis or overthinking. It's about learning to trust your own data, your body's language. Energy doesn't lie. If something feels off, it is. If something lifts you up, pay attention. Your energy system is your most honest feedback mechanism. Are your shoulders tight? Is your breathing shallow? Does your chest feel heavy or light? Is there tension in your jaw? These aren't just physical sensations. They're your body's early warning system telling you whether your current situation is nourishing or depleting you. The Stoics understood that we have limited energy and attention. Epictetus taught that we must choose carefully where we invest these precious resources. He said, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." This applies to emotional wealth too. It's not about having more energy, but about protecting the energy you have. Most people live their entire lives reacting to energy drains instead of preventing them. They wait until they're completely burnt out before they make changes. But by then, they're making decisions from a place of depletion, which usually leads to more depletion. It's like trying to navigate when you're already lost. Much harder than staying on track in the first place. During your energy audit moment, you're not just noticing, you're taking immediate action. If you discover you're being drained, you have 3 options. Change the situation, change your response to the situation, or remove yourself from the situation entirely. The key is acting in that moment, not filing it away for someday. Maybe you realize you're scrolling social media and feeling worse with each post. Close the app. Maybe you notice you're in a conversation that's going in circles, draining everyone involved. Gently redirect or excuse yourself. Maybe you're holding tension in your body from a disagreement this morning. Take 3 deep breaths and consciously release it. Even just one intentional breath, one moment of reclaiming your space, can create a ripple that shifts your entire day. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just deliberate. This isn't about becoming selfish or avoiding all difficult situations. It's about developing what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to distinguish between different types of discomfort. Some discomfort comes from growth, challenge, and meaningful effort. This kind energizes you even when it's difficult. Other discomfort comes from situations that deplete without purpose, relationships that take without giving, and thoughts that spiral without resolution. The energy audit moment teaches you the difference. It helps you distinguish between the good kind of tired that comes from using your gifts fully and the bad kind of tired that comes from betraying yourself repeatedly. Between the satisfying challenge of learning something new and the exhausting drain of people-pleasing, between healthy solitude and isolating withdrawal. Within a month of this practice, you'll develop what I call energy intuition. You'll start sensing energy shifts before they become overwhelming. You'll catch yourself saying yes to things that drain you before you're already committed. You'll notice when you're around people who lift you up versus people who pull you down, and you'll start making choices accordingly. This micro habit. Number 4, the compassion reset breath. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This quote, often attributed to Plato, captures a truth that modern neuroscience now confirms. Our brains are wired for survival, not kindness. We're constantly scanning for threats, judging situations, and protecting ourselves from perceived dangers. But here's what's fascinating. The person we're harshest with isn't usually others. It's ourselves. Most of us are fluent in self-criticism, but barely literate in self-kindness. The harsh inner voice becomes so familiar we stop noticing it's even there. It runs in the background like a toxic playlist on repeat. But what if that voice isn't the truth, just a habit? Listen to the voice in your head for just 5 minutes. Notice how you talk to yourself when you make a mistake, when you're running late, when you don't meet your own expectations. Would you talk to a friend that way? Would you talk to a stranger that way? Most of us have an internal critic that would make a drill sergeant seem gentle. The 4th micro habit that will make you unrecognizable is the compassion reset breath. It's designed to interrupt the cycle of self-judgment that runs in the background of most people's minds, creating space for the kind of inner kindness that changes everything. Here's how it works. Whenever you catch yourself in self-criticism, and you will, multiple times a day, you're going to take one conscious breath and silently say, "I'm doing the best I can with what I know right now." That's it. One breath, one gentle reminder. But the effects compound in ways that will surprise you. The Stoics understood that we suffer twice. Once from the actual problem, and again from our judgment about the problem. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. But most of us skip right past the event and go straight to beating ourselves up about our reaction to the event. We stub our toe and then call ourselves clumsy. We forget someone's name and decide we're terrible with people. We feel anxious and judge ourselves for feeling anxious. This creates what psychologists call second arrow suffering. The first arrow is the original pain. You made a mistake. You're feeling overwhelmed. You said something awkward. The second arrow is the pain you inflict on yourself by judging the first pain. The compassion reset breath stops the second arrow before it lands. And in that pause, something sacred returns, your basic dignity, that quiet, steady part of you that knows you're worthy, not because of your performance, but because you're human. What makes this different from positive affirmations or self-help mantras? You're not trying to convince yourself that you're perfect or that mistakes don't matter. You're simply acknowledging reality. You are doing the best you can with your current level of awareness, skills, and emotional capacity. This isn't lowering standards. It's recognizing that growth happens from a foundation of acceptance, not criticism. Think about how you learned to walk as a child. You fell down hundreds of times. Did you spend time judging yourself for falling? Did you decide you were a failure at walking? Of course not. You got back up and tried again because there was no internal critic telling you that falling meant something about your worth as a person. The compassion reset breath returns you to that natural state of learning without self-attack. It creates what researchers call psychological safety, the internal environment where growth and change actually become possible. When you're not using your energy to defend against your own criticism, you have more energy available for actual improvement. Here's what happens in your brain during this practice. The conscious breath activates your parasympathetic nervous system, moving you out of fight or flight mode. The gentle self-talk releases oxytocin, the same hormone that creates bonding between mothers and babies. You're literally rewiring your neural pathways to default to kindness instead of criticism. After practicing this for 2 weeks, something remarkable happens. The voice in your head starts to shift. Instead of immediately jumping to harsh judgment when something goes wrong, there's a pause, a gentleness, a curiosity about what you can learn, rather than a rush to condemn what went wrong. This internal shift changes everything external too. When you stop attacking yourself, you naturally stop attacking others. When you give yourself room to be human, you extend that same grace to everyone around you. Your relationships deepen because people feel safe around someone who has made peace with their own imperfections. The ripple effects extend to your productivity and creativity too. When you're not wasting mental energy on self-judgment, you have more capacity for problem-solving, innovation, and joy. You take more risks because failure isn't tied to your identity. You recover faster from... Number 5. The Daily Done Declaration. At the end of each day, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what wounds did I heal? What failings did I resist? Where can I show improvement? In this way, the soul is put at rest through the daily scrutiny. Seneca wrote these words in his letters, practicing what he preached by reviewing his days, not with harsh judgment, but with loving awareness. And that's where most of us go wrong. We review our days like cruel supervisors, not compassionate witnesses. We forget that the purpose of reflection is restoration, not punishment. Here's the brutal truth about modern life. We're trained to focus on what we didn't accomplish. The email still in our inbox, the project that's taking longer than expected, the conversation we should have had but didn't. We go to bed carrying the weight of incompletion and we wake up already behind. It's exhausting and it's completely optional. The 5th micro habit that will make you unrecognizable is the Daily Done Declaration. Before you close your eyes each night, you're going to spend exactly 2 minutes celebrating what you actually accomplished, no matter how small, instead of dwelling on what you didn't finish. Here's how it works. As you're lying in bed before sleep takes over, you're going to mentally scan your day and identify 3 things you completed, handled, or moved forward. But here's the twist. They can't be big, obvious accomplishments. You're looking for the micro victories, the small acts of care, the tiny steps forward that usually go unnoticed and uncelebrated. Maybe you responded to a text from a friend who was having a hard time. Maybe you chose the salad instead of the fries. Maybe you held the elevator for someone running to catch it. Maybe you organized one drawer, watered one plant, or took your vitamins. Maybe you didn't react when that person was rude to you in line. Maybe you pet your cat for an extra minute just because it made both of you happy. Even on your most unproductive days, there's always something you did right. This practice helps you find it. It rewrites the narrative you tell yourself about your worth. The Stoics called this practice evening reflection, but most people get it wrong. They turn it into a harsh performance review, focusing on what they should have done differently. True Stoic reflection is about recognition, not criticism. It's about seeing clearly what actually happened, including what went well, so you can build on those patterns. Seneca understood something that modern productivity culture has forgotten. Completion is more important than perfection. When you acknowledge what you've already accomplished, you create what psychologists call implementation momentum. Your brain starts to see you as someone who follows through, someone who takes care of business, someone who can be counted on, especially by yourself. This practice rewires your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that determines what you notice throughout the day. When you consistently look for completions at night, you start noticing opportunities for small accomplishments during the day. You begin to see progress where you used to see only problems. Most people end their days feeling like they didn't do enough because they're measuring against an impossible standard of perfect productivity. But productivity isn't about doing everything. It's about doing something meaningful and acknowledging that it matters. The Daily Done Declaration teaches your nervous system that you are enough. You do enough. You accomplish enough. Exactly as you are. And once your nervous system begins to believe that, everything else in your life starts to shift. Confidence rises, anxiety decreases, clarity returns. Here's what happens after a month of this practice. You start sleeping better because you're going to bed with a sense of completion rather than anxiety. You wake up with more energy because you're not carrying yesterday's supposed failures into today. You become more motivated during the day because you know that whatever you accomplish will be noticed and celebrated by the most important person in your life, you. The ripple effects transform your relationships too. When you're in the habit of noticing and celebrating small accomplishments in yourself, you naturally start noticing and celebrating them in others. You become the person who sees what people are doing right instead of what they're doing wrong. This makes you magnetic because everyone is starving for recognition and appreciation. This isn't about lowering your standards or becoming complacent. It's about recognizing that sustainable progress happens through consistent acknowledgement of small steps, not through constant criticism of imperfect performance. When you feel genuinely appreciated for what you contribute, even by yourself, you naturally want to contribute more. The daily done declaration also trains you to see your life as a series of small gifts. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. This ancient Chinese proverb perfectly captures where you are right now. You can't go back and start taking care of yourself earlier, but you can start today, right now, with these 5 micro habits that will transform you from the inside out. It's easy to wish we had started sooner, but the truth is, wishing is passive. Starting is powerful. Every day you wait is a vote for staying the same. Every small step you take is a vote for becoming who you're meant to be. And the moment you decide, really decide, to begin, you collapse the distance between your past and your potential. Here's what's going to happen over the next 30 days. Your mornings will become calmer as the 2-minute mind sweep creates space between you and your thoughts. Your days will become richer as gratitude archaeology trains you to see treasure in ordinary moments. Your energy will stabilize as you learn to audit and protect it like the precious resource it is. Your inner critic will soften as the compassion reset breath replaces judgment with understanding. Your nights will become more peaceful as the daily done declaration helps you see the progress you're already making. But the real magic happens when these habits work together. They don't just add value to your day, they shift your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone trying to become better, but as someone already whole, already becoming. You'll notice opportunities for micro-care throughout your day that you never saw before. You'll develop an unshakable sense of your own worth that isn't dependent on external validation. You'll become someone who inspires others simply by showing what self-respect in action looks like. 6 months from now, people are going to ask, "What's different about you?" You'll smile knowing it wasn't one dramatic change. It was 5 small choices repeated daily that created a completely new version of yourself. A version that was always there, just waiting for permission to emerge. This transformation won't scream, it will whisper. It will rise through your posture, your calm, your clarity. You'll carry yourself differently. Not because you're pretending, but because you're finally aligned with who you really are. Your transformation starts with your next breath. Your future self is counting on the choice you make right now. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start small. Start today. Start now. Like this video, if these micro habits resonated with you, share it with someone who needs this reminder that transformation doesn't require perfection, just consistency. Subscribe for more practical wisdom that actually works. And remember, you're not becoming someone new. You're finally becoming who you've always been underneath everything else. You've done the small work. You've leaned into tiny habits. 2 minutes of witnessing your thoughts, quiet gratitude, simple energy checks, a breath that softens your inner critic, and evening acknowledgments. And maybe right now there's a moment of stillness inside you that wasn't there before. A whisper that says, "I can do this. I deserve this." This whisper isn't loud. It doesn't shout over your thoughts or demand attention. It lingers quietly beneath the noise, a subtle reminder that something inside you is starting to shift. Not through willpower, but through presence. Not through ambition, but through attention. This is how deep change begins. Not with fireworks, but with consistency. Here's what happens when you begin living from that whisper. It doesn't get easier overnight, but it gets different. You'll start sensing your mind clear before your feet even touch the floor. You'll hear yourself pause, not because someone else told you to, but because your own inner voice finally trusts you enough to slow down. You'll start noticing moments during the day where you default to rest instead of pushing. That pause becomes your most radical act of care. And in that care, a new version of self-respect is born. Not the kind that demands constant improvement or hustle, but the kind that honors your humanity. That honors the version of you that survived, adapted, and kept showing up even without applause. Your relationships shift too, not because others change, but because your energy changes. Conversations feel more alive, not because you fixed anything, but because you're present. Silence between words doesn't feel awkward anymore. It feels like space for connection. You start listening, not waiting to respond, but wanting to understand. Others notice. It feels like presence that you didn't have before, and suddenly, it becomes your gift to them. You'll stop measuring your day by what got done and start noticing how you showed up. How gently you spoke to yourself in failure, how bravely you stayed open when you were tempted to shut down, how you forgave yourself mid-mistake and kept moving. You'll find yourself doing things like choosing rest over doing, choosing softness over judgment, choosing presence over performance. And when you catch yourself doing those things, that's when you know something has changed. Not because you checked them off on a to-do list, but because you chose them in real time, even when it wasn't the default. And there's a quiet power in that choosing. It doesn't announce itself. It harvests your worth over time. By month 3, your days begin to have consistent pauses. By month 6, those pauses shape your life. You wake up and you're not waiting for clarity. You live in it. You are no longer chasing transformation. You're living as transformation. The outside world might not even notice the shift at first. You'll still look like you. You'll still work, laugh, care, show up. But you'll know in the way you speak to yourself, the way your body feels safe in your own presence, the way your inner world no longer feels like a battlefield but a refuge. You've come this far not because you conjured up a better version of yourself, but because you remembered the one who was already there, the brave one, the one who still cares when it's hard, the one who deserves gentle loyalty from yourself. This is where the real beginning starts. Not when you finally feel different, but when you keep showing up for yourself as you are, imperfect, real, becoming. By now, something has already started shifting inside you, even if you haven't fully noticed. You may still feel messy, inconsistent, unfinished. That's okay. This isn't about becoming a perfect version of yourself. It's about becoming a consistent witness to who you already are, and choosing from that awareness every day. That's where resilience is born. Not from doing more, but from returning more often. From noticing when you drift and gently choosing to come back. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Think about this. How many times in your life have you started something with fire, with passion, with the full force of, this time I'll finally change? And how many times did it fade? Because the fuel was pressure, or shame, or proving something. But this is different. These habits don't demand performance, they build identity. An identity built slowly? That sticks. This is no longer about adding 5 habits to your to-do list. This is about weaving 5 anchors into your day. 5 silent threads holding you steady when life pulls you in every direction. They're not rules, they're reminders of who you want to be, of what matters, of how worthy you are of your own attention. Let's revisit them, not as tasks, but as anchors. The 2-minute morning mind sweep doesn't just declutter your head, it reminds you, your inner world matters first. Gratitude archaeology isn't about being blindly positive, it teaches you to find gold in the dust, to see clearly, even when life is blurry. The energy audit moment doesn't say protect your energy as a slogan, it teaches you to notice what leaks your power and lovingly plug the holes. The compassion reset breath doesn't erase mistakes. It rewires your relationship with them. It says, you can start again, even mid-fall. And the daily done declaration? That's your proof that no matter how chaotic life got, you showed up for yourself anyway. One breath, one pause, one note of gratitude, one choice to walk away, one well done whispered before sleep. That's all it takes. Not forever, just today. And if you fail tomorrow, so what? This isn't about streaks. This is about returning. Return. 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 Because returning is stronger than perfection. You're not building discipline to impress anyone. You're building devotion to hold yourself. And the version of you who is held daily, gently, lovingly, becomes someone no circumstance can shake. The most powerful people are not those who control everything. They are those who remain rooted when everything else shifts. That's who you're becoming, day by day, habit by habit, return by return. You didn't come this far just to get hyped. You came to hold yourself differently, to know that no matter what happens around you, you are not lost. You are anchored, and that's more than enough. Think about water carving through stone, not through force, but through gentle, persistent contact. That's what these 5 micro habits will do for you. They'll reshape you so subtly, so powerfully, that 6 months from now, people will ask, "What's different about you?" And you'll smile knowing it wasn't one big thing. It was 5 tiny things you did every single day. The beauty of Stoic self-care lies in its simplicity. Marcus, Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca weren't lounging in Roman spas. They were busy people leading empires, teaching students, dealing with exile and hardship. Yet they developed practices so small, so integrated into daily life, that they became unstoppable forces of inner strength. And they didn't wait for perfect moments to begin. They began in exile, in illness, in war, in chaos. They showed us that power isn't found in control over others, but in mastery of the self. That's what you're doing here. Becoming a master of your own inner world. And the battlefield? It's the small moments of your everyday life. Here's what most people get wrong. They think self-care means adding more to their already packed lives. But true Stoic self-care is about subtraction. Removing the mental clutter, the emotional baggage, the habits that drain rather than sustain you. It's about creating space for yourself within the life you already have. These aren't your typical drink more water and get 8 hours of sleep suggestions. Sure, those matter, but they're surface level. What I'm about to share with you goes deeper. These small habits target the root of why you feel disconnected from yourself, why self-care feels impossible, and why transformation seems so out of reach. Each habit takes less than 5 minutes. Each one costs nothing. Each one can be done anywhere, anytime, without anyone even knowing you're doing it. But together, they create a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. And over time, these ripples become waves, and the waves become tides. And before you even realize it, you're standing in a life you once thought was out of reach, not because everything changed overnight, but because you changed. Quietly, consistently. When Epictetus said, "No one can harm you without your permission," he wasn't just talking about external enemies. He was talking about the way we harm ourselves through neglect, through putting everyone else's needs first, through forgetting that we matter too. These micro habits are your permission slip to matter again. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need realigning. Like a guitar that's gone slightly out of tune, still beautiful, still capable of music, just needing those small adjustments that make all the difference. The person you're becoming is already inside you waiting. These habits aren't creating someone new. They're revealing who you've always been underneath the stress, the overwhelm, the constant giving without receiving. They're archaeological tools, gently brushing away the dust to reveal the masterpiece beneath. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to start small, ridiculously small, so small that your brain can't resist, so small that even on your worst days you can still show up for yourself. And day by day, choice by choice, you're going to become unrecognizable to the person who feels too tired, too busy, too overwhelmed to take care of themselves. You'll learn to trust yourself again. You'll begin to notice your own resilience in ways that surprise you. Not in grand victories, but in quiet persistence. In the way you pause before reacting. In the way you catch yourself and breathe. In the way you offer grace when you would have given guilt. Before we dive in, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to this channel for more practical Stoic wisdom that actually works in real life. And please don't skip any part of this video. Activate this mindset by typing it below. I create massive transformation day by day. Ready? Let's begin your journey to becoming unrecognizable. This isn't a challenge, it's a remembering, a return. A gentle reintroduction to the part of you that's been waiting patiently beneath all the noise. You're not behind. You're not too late. The moment you show up for yourself, even just a little, you start to reclaim all the moments you thought you lost. And if today's the day you begin, then today becomes sacred. Not because it's perfect, but because you made a choice. You said, "No more abandoning myself." You said, "I matter enough to begin again." Because the real miracle isn't in the outcome, It's in the decision to show up, to try, to take one small, steady step toward the version of you who's been waiting this whole time. And that step, it starts now.